Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to the Live Life Golden Show. I am super excited to be here today to give you a show that will just change your life. We're talking about challenges, we're talking about anxieties. I want to make sure that my microphone is on. That's always a really important checkpoint. So I'm going to do that. All right, we're good. All right, so I want to share about my event this weekend. It went off amazing. It took a small team of the Duffy tribe to make it happen. And I have to give a shout out, of course, to my incredibly amazing husband, Michael Duffy, for dragging so many things out into the middle of the woods and for, just supporting every crazy idea I have and just being there and just for loving me. He's so good at it. And to my daughter, Shaylin, who definitely was my creative director. And she, in the long run, ended up being the person who helped me find the place, even though I kind of fought her in the beginning. So I'm going to share that story because it was definitely like 11th hour creating. It's probably I haven't done this in a while. Like I haven't done 11th hour creating in a while. And what 11th hour is like you're up against it. Like it has to happen because it was like the next day. Like we found it on Thursday night. So I had to give a location out on Friday. This was happening on Saturday. So it was a little, yeah, it definitely grew my faith. It definitely helped me to watch energy again. And you guys, you know how I love to do that. I love to watch energy to see where the energy is going to go. So what ended up happening was for a while, because I knew I was doing this for a couple of months. In fact, I pushed the date back once. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I was doing these things on Zoom. I have a couple of different groups on Zoom that I run, and it was wonderful and it was awesome. And I get to connect with a lot of people around the country. And then the last time that I launched it, I didn't get as good of a response. And I had a woman here who said, I definitely want to do it, but I don't want to do it on Zoom. She's like, I'm on Zoom all the time. And my desire was to get out with people. It really was. So it was like a hell yes for me. A little scary, a little out of my comfort zone again, because I haven't really done anything live in a long time. So, putting all those parts together. So I looked into a hotel. The hotels were about $2,700. You had to do like a $2,700 minimum of food plus a $500 event fee. So that didn't feel good for my very first event. I didn't think that that was smart. So then I was looking into, I really thought I was going to be able to do it on the beach, and the weather just was not like, it just didn't look great. It was in the 60s. It was going to be cloudy. And at the beach, that can be pretty miserable if you are a Californian. So I didn't really want that. And my husband kept saying to me, the weather at the beach and the waves, like your voice does not carry. They're going to have a hard time hearing you. So that just wasn't feeling right. It wasn't lining up. So then I got a lead on a beach house that potentially was going to become like an Airbnb that I could rent for a couple of hours. Nothing came of that. So all along the way, I've been looking, I've been following leads. It took me a couple of days on the hotels. And then my husband and I went out one weekend and we kind of searched all over Laguna. And I definitely wanted it to be in Laguna. And there's a reason for that. Laguna Beach, California has something very spiritual about it, something very special about it. I can't really put it into words. I just know the first time that I went there, I was captivated and my husband was captivated. And I don't know if it's like a past life thing, like we've lived there before, but we both felt welcomed, we felt home, we felt surrounded by beauty. I mean, to me, it's 4:44 here. How cool is that? It's one of the most beautiful places in the country. And it's my home and I absolutely adore it. We live about 15 minutes from it. So I knew it had to be in Laguna. So we kind of scouted all over one Sunday, somewhat exhaustingly. Like I was starting to get a little bit exhausted trying to find this location and nothing's feeling right. And Michael kept saying to me, he's like, we can just do it in our house if we have to. And again, that didn't feel right. As much as that would have been like the warmest hug of a Live Life Golden experience to be in my home, I just knew it had to be somewhere else. So my daughter and I went out on Wednesday last week scouting again in Laguna. And really strangely, I was in a meditation, right? I'm in receiving mode. That's what meditation is. And I get this download about this store that I had been to 3 years ago. I had to go and find the sweatshirt to find the name of the store that I remembered had a little garden area in the back that they let people do seminars and they let people do workshops in. So I was like, oh my gosh, that's got to be the place. So I looked at my sweatshirt. It's called Soul Project. I call, I leave a message, no answer. I email, nothing. I get nothing back. So I'm like, all right, I'm just going to go down there. I'm going to go. And I looked it up online and it said it was open. So my daughter and I trucked down there on Wednesday and it's closed. There's cardboard over the windows, like it's done. It's closed. And it was weird because on their website it said they were having a workshop that weekend and it would have worked in my time. I could have done it before. So I'm like, that is so weird. So we just start walking around. Like we just start walking and looking in stores and looking for a clue. I was literally looking for a clue, like breadcrumbs, like tell me why I'm here. Tell me why you brought me to the Soul Project. Obviously, I was brought here for a reason. The way that it dropped into my meditation practice just felt so divinely led. It felt like a breadcrumb. So we end up going down the street. We find this store. It's called Business and Pleasure. You can look it up on the web. It's really cool. They have like all these really cool beachy furnitures. They have like cabana chairs and these gorgeous umbrellas with the tassels. And it's so my style. It's like super bohemian. And I'm like, oh my gosh, these are amazing. Well, the chairs are like $250 each. So I'm like, well, that's really not, that would be an investment, but not really smart for my first time. So I end up the whole day, we're going back and forth and trying to figure it out. We stop in other stores, we stop in other restaurants, everything we're doing, we're hitting a roadblock. And at this point, I'm having a little trouble being in my joy. Have you been there when you're like, oh shit, I'm up against it and I don't know what the frick I'm going to do? Like, I don't know why this isn't happening for me. And my sweet, sweet daughter, who is just my little guru at this point in my life, is just like, Mom, it's going to work out. You just got to relax. You got to relax. And she goes, I really believe it needs to be in nature. And so, she kind of planted that seed. And the week before, I forgot this little detail. The week before, my friend at the gym told me that there's these parks in Irvine and there's these areas in these parks that we could do it at. And he brought me to this park and it was amazing. There was this big tree and this wooden area like around it that we could have set up chairs and it was really cool. So I'm like, okay, cool. So I'm going to check that out with Mike. So this kind of started the seed of like, okay, maybe it needs to be in nature. Maybe it needs to be outside. However, in a park where you're not really sure where people are going to be, he's like, there's really not a lot of people that come around here. So he said, go check it out with Michael tomorrow. So Michael and I checked it out the next day and there was a party set up like right next to the thing. And to me, that's like telling me the energy, right? It's showing me the energy field of what's going on. There was also a lot of concrete buildings. So it wasn't exactly nature and there were cars going by. So it wasn't exactly quiet. So going there the next day and seeing that energy, I was like, okay, that's not the right place, but it started to open up like other possibilities of nature. So my daughter said, I just feel like it should be in nature. And she mentions this park, Molten Meadow Park in Laguna. And I'm like, no, I just don't know. Like the weather is so unpredictable right now, forgetting that I can actually control the weather. I've done it many times in my life, but this felt like a lot of pressure, I think, to put on this whole event and control the weather. So I kind of let that rest for a little bit. And then my husband, he texted me and he said, do you want to just go out and kind of scope some areas? Because I'm like, I think it needs to be in nature. I'm not really sure. So the next day, that Thursday, I decide, all right, I'm going to go on and see if I can find those cabana chairs that I love so much. Because that's like a look. Like I wanted a look. I wanted it to look a certain way. I wanted it to feel a certain way. Like I had this vision in my head. So I end up Googling like rental chairs. I'm all over the place. Probably takes me like 2 hours. I finally find a woman in Huntington Beach who rents the cabana chairs. So I call her, lovely woman, just absolutely lovely. We talk and she says, you really don't want those cabana chairs. She goes, they're falling apart. She goes, I only have 8 of them. I wanted to be safe and get like 12. And so she goes, but I have these other chairs, these steamer chairs, and they're amazing and they're super comfortable. And I really think so. I look up the pictures, and she's got the umbrellas with the tassels, and she's got these little pillows that are I mean, just if you look at my stuff on Facebook, you'll see the pictures. It just was everything I wanted and more. So I was like, all right, let me just meditate on it and I'll call you back. So I go and I do my little napitation. I lay down and I'm just like, send me a sign. Like, I don't know if I'm supposed to do this. It was a couple $100 to do that. I'm like, okay, so that's some of what I was going to make. And is this the right thing to do? So I lay down, I wake up from my napitation, and I check my phone, and I got a text message from a friend that basically made me feel like I couldn't do it in my house. Because what I didn't realize and I didn't think about is that some people may still not want to be in your home. And as much as I don't pay any attention to any of that, you guys know that, I do want to be respectful and I don't want people to feel fear, and I want to do it where people feel, really good. So that sealed the deal for me. So I called the woman back and she said, okay, I'm going to reserve them for you. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to pick them up tomorrow and you don't have to do anything. And that was awesome because like her birthday was the next day. So it was kind of a little birthday present for her because I just came and got the stuff where she normally sets the stuff up. I'm like, I'll take care of it. We live far away. And that was really awesome. So I went, she gave me so many things. She like overgave me stuff, which was so awesome, and didn't charge me for everything. And I drive away, and my husband's like, well, let's just drive around tonight and see, what we can find. So we went to a couple different parks, and then finally we went to the Molten Meadows Park, and it was like angels were singing. I walk onto this spot and it's under this amazing and beautiful tree. There's actually a little swing there and you can see the ocean, and you are in the middle of nature, and it is off the trail. So I think only 2 people actually walked by us the whole time we were there, and it is super quiet. You can't even hear cars, which is amazing in California. So I'm like, this is it. This is it. We're going to do this. And so I was able to give the location the next day, and I was super excited about it, and it went off without a hitch. This is the thing. The weather wasn't fantastic, but the cool thing was I thought ahead. I'm a preparer. That's what I do. I brought blankets for everyone. We had wonderful snacks. We had an incredible, expansive afternoon together, learning and growing and laughing and getting to know one another. We had strangers come, people that never met me before, which I'm so thankful and grateful that people trust me to do these crazy things just from listening to my podcast or just from knowing me on Facebook. And I am so pumped to do another one. Like, I just can't wait to do another one. So I'm thinking about this. And, there's a lot of people on my Facebook page that live in different areas, different parts of the country. And I thought, you know what? I could go all around the world doing this. So if you have a group of people and you want me to come and do something, I could do a whole day retreat. I could do a whole weekend retreat if you really want. I have like 12 teachings. So I have all different teachings. A lot of my teachings match up with my podcast. So it's kind of cool because it's like more information. It's going in depth. I have writing prompts. I have meditations. I do guided releases where we release energy. Everybody felt lighter. It was cool when I did the ending guided energy release and meditation, everybody felt warm. And that was really cool. So everybody felt the energy and felt lighter from it. I've now started a group on Facebook called the Live Life Golden Adventures. And I'm going to be adding people as they come to the workshops. And so if you are interested in hosting me, I just have to make it make sense. I need a plane ticket. I might need a plane ticket for 2 people because I'm definitely going to need some staff with me, some emotional support and some physical muscle maybe, and then a place to stay. I mean, we can do this. I am so freaking pumped about it and I can see it happening. I really thought it was just going to be in California. So if you want to come here, I'll organize a weekend retreat here. Absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt, would be freaking amazing. I'm going to do these once a month. So if that is something you're interested in and you want to come see Laguna Beach and you want to come stay here, I can help you. I can, help share where the greatest places to stay are, and we can, connect with it on that weekend. I believe what I'm going to do is probably the first weekends of the month. And then I may do a secondary thing. I have so many ideas. So I'm thinking a teaching once a month and then just fun once a month with a little meditation mixed in. So maybe biking, maybe kayaking, maybe just a picnic lunch, maybe a beach walk. I just want to connect with people that are of high vibration, that are in resonance with one another, that are on an expanding and growing journey and want to spend time and joy. That's what I want. I want to spend time in laughter and joy. We laughed so much on Saturday. It was a blast. It really was. And it surpassed everything that all of my expectations. And I know that it's just going to get better. Like as we get to know one another, as we build this group, as people invite other people, I know that it's going to get better. So let me know, livelifegolden@gmail.com if you're interested in talking to me about that. All right. So let me see where we're at because we are talking about your challenges today. We're talking about challenges and how our challenges are there to actually call us to more. And, after this event, not saying that this was a major challenge in my life, but I remember being in the thick of it when I was starting to feel the anxiety. I remember my daughter and I were sitting on a beautiful, gorgeous, sunny day, eating pizza overlooking the ocean. And I remember thinking to myself, like, I am in the anxiety. Like, I can feel it. Like, it is suppressing my joy. And if I had been like really open and really joyful, listen, I'm human. And I tell her this all the time. I'm like, baby, I'm human. I still have my things. I still have I don't always trust like I should. And it's all part of the journey and the process. So what I realized was like when I'm in this frame, when I'm not feeling so good, when I'm not feeling that faith and that trust, I am suppressing the energy. That's what you do when you're in the anxiety of something. You are basically resonating with the problem. And I've said this before, the problem and the solution are different energies. The solution's in a higher realm. The solution is in your higher consciousness. It's where that divine energy can come in and give you the downloads. Now, the way that this happened was very much breadcrumbs, and I followed them. There's no doubt about it. I was following every lead that came. I was telling everyone about it. I wasn't just sitting and waiting. I can tell you that there were times when I would pull back and give space. And this is the thing about challenges. If we come at them, first of all, when we have a challenge, one of our very first reactions often is resistance. We're in resistance to it. We're ready to fight against it. We get pissed off about it. We get frustrated about it. And we're like, why is this happening to me? Right? Like that's usually the way we conduct ourselves when it comes to a major life challenge. And if we can decide what we want about it, if we can go into meditation, if we can calm ourselves, if we can relax, if we can breathe, if we can really put ourselves in a calmer state of mind, which meditation will always do, it will always reset your vibration unless you're in meditation worrying and thinking about the problem the whole time. If you're not having those breaks of thought, the best thing you can do when you're in a situation like that is go, I have to let go. I need to let go. Please just help me let go and just keep saying those words. I like to say, go deeper. I'm going to go deeper. I'm going to let go of this. I'm going to let go. Not right now. Just interrupt the thoughts. And eventually that spiral of momentum, this is what happens when a challenge comes and our anxiety and our emotions get elevated. And then anxiety takes over. And then whatever's on the frequency of anxiety, we're going to tune into it. And we're going to go on remember that neural pathway roller coaster ride? So we've got to break the momentum and we've got to create space. And when we create the space, that's when the room comes in for us to elevate into solution mode. Again, it may not drop into your head like it did for me during meditation, which wasn't actually the solution, but it was a breadcrumb on the way to the solution. I really think I was brought down there to that store just to find that little furniture and come up with that idea. I know it seems wacky. You're just like, what are we doing here? I'm just like, I'm trying to do a good thing here. I remember saying that a few times. I'm trying to do a good thing. Why is this not working? Why is this hard? Right? That was my vibrational energy, which is totally in the problem. I can see it now. And I am I am freaking good at this. And I still have moments where it pulls me to the edge and it grows my faith and it shows me time and time again that everything always works out for me. So there you go. Not Miss Perfect over here. I'm not claiming to be Miss Perfect. So what your anxiety does is it slows down energy and it actually creates a denser field in your energy field. So it slows down energy and it doesn't allow solutions are still going to come. I don't want you to freak out and get even more anxious over this conversation. Solutions are still going to come. It just comes a little slower. Like if I had just chilled and I was in joy, if I was in joy that day on Wednesday, I most likely would have gone to that park with my daughter. But because I was in anxiety, I got exhausted. I got really tired and I just wanted to go home. I'm like, this isn't working and I just need to go home. I just need to stop because I felt like I knocked on every door, like I exhausted every resource down there. And the place was literally like on the way home. And so if I was living in joy, if I was having fun with her, if we were just, which is what she really wanted to do, if we were just, messing around, I just felt like I got to get serious. I got to get serious. How many times are we like, I got to get serious? No, the more lighthearted and joyful and fun we are, the quicker the solutions are going to come because that's where they're at. They're at that higher vibrational realm. All right, so your anxiety slows things down and makes you somewhat unreceptive to ideas. Now remember, she had said to me, I don't know if it was Tuesday or Wednesday. And then one other time she said to me, which is just incredible, she said, all right, close your eyes and see the event. Where are you? And I was at that park. I was in nature. I was definitely in nature and it was really secluded and it was that park. It was totally that park. And I don't know why I kept fighting that idea. I think that whole limitation of it's going to be too cold. And it wasn't too cold. It did get chilly towards the end, which I think is just contrast. I think next time we meet together and it's warm and the sun is shining and it's just going to be even more joyful. So, I can look at the benefits of all of it. So that feeling of worry, nervousness, unease is typically about an imminent event happening that you don't want to happen. So it means you are focused. There's two ways to focus, right? One is wanted, one is unwanted. It means your energy field is focused in the unwanted direction. You are worrying about every worst case scenario that could come to you. And what anxiety is it's an overwhelming, it's an overinduction of too many thoughts about what you do not want. An overinduction. So it means you've tuned into a frequency, and then because you're in worry and anxiety, your mind, your life, you're going to get physical evidence over and over and over again to perpetuate that anxiety. That's what happens when we tune into that radio station. Remember, everything that makes us anxious is going to be on that station. So that's why it's really important to just kind of get a hold of your field, to get a hold of that emotional field. Sit down, journal, ask yourself, what do I really want? I wrote down many times what I wanted for this event, and it definitely checked off all the boxes, except for the sunshine. But again, I really and truly feel like that is part of the contrast of this thing getting even better. I trust, I do, I have faith. All right. Now, anxiety is fear of the unknown and creating those worst case scenarios in your mind. It causes lots of hormones to be released within your body. And a lot of those hormones you could be addicted to. They're filled with adrenaline, they're filled with life purpose. Like, I've got a purpose. If I feel anxious, I think many times our mothers would take on that role of like, if I don't worry about my kids, then they won't be safe. Like crazy. So society programming's about, if I don't worry, then how is this going to work out? I don't know. Because you think you're working on problems. You think you're doing something. You think you're being productive by worrying, and you're really not. You're actually infusing energy in the opposite direction of what you want to create. So you want to take that power back as fast as you possibly can. And it's a process. once we get to the point where we don't have any worries or any anxieties, I think enlightenment is there. I don't know. I don't know if I'll be that way in my life, possibly because I work so hard on this. There's a really great book by Chris Prentice. I wrote it down and I'm going to jump ahead to it because I feel like this guy is definitely like that. So it's called The Zen and the Art of Happiness by Chris Prentice. And his son was addicted to heroin for like 10 years. And they created an incredible rehabilitation center for alcohol and drug abuse in Malibu, California. And after 10 years of severe drug use and this boy doing everything possible to make his dad, I just can't believe how much, I mean, it's your child. So it's really, really difficult, I think, to just keep saying, it's okay, son, we're going to figure this out, and he did that time and time again, even if the boy stole money from him, even if the boy disappointed him, he just continually said, I will never give up on you. I'm sure I would be that way. But everything that's ever happened to him, he just says, cool, let's see what happens from this. Like everything that happened to him was like no big deal because he knew that everything always righted to good. Like he's got that faith, he's got that trust, and it's like another level to the way I live, I guess. He also doesn't have 4 daughters, so, I got all that going for me. All right. So that's a great book. I love that book. I love anything by Chris Prentice. He also wrote, I think it's a recovery book. So if you have any kind of alcohol addiction or people in your life like that, it was very valuable book in just understanding addicts. I had someone living with me who was addicted to drugs for a while. So I read that book because I wanted to have more of an understanding. I also wanted to have more of an understanding about addiction, just in general, so that I can be more helpful to people, because I feel like it's kind of rampant in our society. So I feel like if I can speak more to it as from like that kind of clinical study research part of it, really, really interesting. And what they do with people in that rehab is they take an overall view. They don't just work on, one piece of your situation. They find out why you started in the first place. And they do nutritional counseling and psychological counseling, and they do meditation and, spiritual development. It sounds like a really great place if you need that. All right. So it causes these downloads of hormones that can become addictive, and it keeps you from moving forward. So it keeps us from moving forward, which sometimes can be part of the addiction, because if I'm anxious, I don't have to move forward. If I'm having a panic attack, I don't really have to go out and do something that's out of my comfort zone. So notice that, because that becomes a limitation in your life that you can move past once you believe you can. This is what I see people do that I think is really creating a disservice in our society. They own and identify with their anxiety. So I understand if you have physical symptoms and you have panic attacks where you can't breathe or you pass out, I get it. I totally get it. But the belief systems and the thoughts that lead you to that can be worked with. You can figure this out if you decide you can. So I also see people claim depression, my anxiety, I am depressed, I am anxious. When we own those things, especially when we use the words I am before them, we give them power. We give them a whole identity within ourselves that we become over and over and over again. And again, that's a radio station that we're tuning into. So if you're running around in a stressed out, anxious state, there's a lot of things happening within your body that are going to create disease. I mean, think about it. Dis-ease. That's what you're experiencing when you're in stress and anxiety. You're not at ease in life. So I personally, because I've done so much study on what stress does to the body, to your cells, to your hormones, to your aging process, stress ages us. It kills us. It literally kills us. It's the number one killer. They may tell you it's cancer, but guess what causes cancer? Stress. So I would, at this point in my life, and this is what we have been doing, is cut the stress. Like whatever is causing you the most stress, it needs to go. And that doesn't mean you need to throw your kids out. It means you need to figure out how to deal with them differently, right? I had a little moment yesterday that I'm sharing, not that I'm like proud of this, but it was funny because, my daughter now will kind of throw back at me that, she's going to tell my listeners. Like, I'll tell my listeners, I'm freaking human. And when I'm under, the feeling of like asking for someone to do something and then they don't do it and then I do it and then I get yelled at for doing it, that's pretty much what happened. I was just at the end of it. I was at the end of it and I needed to express some emotions and I did it pretty strongly and I didn't have any regret. And the reason why is because I didn't feel like, where in the past I feel like, when we have rage or when we flip out or when we say things, I didn't say anything that was hurtful. That was number one. Number two, sometimes I think we need to kind of raise our voices to get energy out of our body. And that's what I was doing, and express the way that we're feeling if there's like this low level of frustration about something, which there has been. So I expressed myself. It wasn't super received. One other thing that I realized was I didn't carry it. So after the whole thing was said and done, I, hugged my husband and we talked it out a little bit. And my daughter went to her room and, didn't talk to me. And then I was just like, there was no resentment. There was no angst. It was just like, I just needed to say my piece. Like literally, I just needed to just let it out. So I went in her room last night and we both said, we love you. And everything was fine today. So it's okay. It's okay. Where it becomes not okay is when we're having these emotions that are so out of control and we're saying things to people that are super hurtful and we're regretting, we're beating ourselves up after. I didn't do any of that. I was just expressing myself because sometimes mom's got to express herself when you're dealing with teenagers, right? And they're not necessarily doing what your expectation of them is. I had a energy healer once who said, all anger is unrealized expectations. So it's expectations that we put on other people and then they fall short. But it was our ridiculous expectations that's got us into trouble in the first place. So I thought I was doing a good thing by taking care of something that was bothering me, right? Like kind of where I'm at right now in life is like I'm dealing with the irritation list. Like everything that irritates me, I'm taking care of. Yesterday, I was going to take the day off. We had a super busy weekend. We went to a really cool comedy show on Sunday night. It was a benefit. My husband's beautiful clients invited us. And we got to see Caroline Ray, and I got to meet Jerry from Park and Rec, which you can see on my Facebook story, which was super fun because we just started watching Park and Rec again. And if you haven't watched it, it's Jim O'Hare as the actor. It's hysterical. We're watching it again just because we like to laugh before we go to bed. We like things that are light. So I got to hug him. I got to tell him how fun he is, and got to talk to Caroline Ray, which was pretty cool. She's from Sabrina the Teenage Witch, and I actually fell in love with her when she was on Hollywood Squares with Alec Baldwin. She was really, really funny, and she's a great person, great personality, and she was really funny. So on Monday, I was tired, and that's why the podcast didn't happen because I don't like to do this when I'm tired. And suddenly, I got this burst of energy, and this is important for life. When you get an inspiration to do something, I have all this work to do. I have a lot of things I could be doing right now. And I decided yesterday I was not going to work. It was going to be like self-care day, right? Well, my self-care day turned out to be washing my windows because we had talked about for a long time that the windows needed to be washed in the house. And we have these huge windows that overlook this gorgeous city. And they've been dirty for a while. And I was like, well, maybe we could hire somebody. But the rain here and the we get a lot of fog. We get a lot of like the marine layer. So that happens in the morning. I said to my husband, I'm really just not good at washing windows. And then I thought, you know what? That's stupid. That's a stupid thing to say. So I got the right product. I had some foam cleaner. I cleaned all of my windows and wow, what a difference that makes. Then I started moving furniture around. Like I'm in this spring cleaning, redecorating, extravaganza. I think this weekend kind of sparked that in me because I was decorating for this thing and God, it's one of the things I love to do. I just love to create beautiful spaces and things that feel like you're walking into a hug. So I'm redoing the house and I'm excited, and I'll share pictures soon. But that's the difference between like not forcing yourself to do things. I don't have to force myself to do the podcast. I don't have to force myself to do certain things. Yes, things need to get done when they need to get done. Focus is really important, but sometimes when the mood strikes to do other things that are going to improve your life, if you flow with the energy, that means, going with the flow of energy and what feels really good to you, you're going to get huge benefits. And my house is going to be amazingly even more beautiful very soon. All right. So, anxiety is a frequency and attracts more stressful thoughts and energies to you, which makes it grow and become more powerful. So, what evokes anxiety is any challenge that creates a belief and a feeling that we can't handle the energy coming at us. So, it's that overwhelmment. And overwhelmment comes when we tune into a radio station, we tune into a frequency, we tune into a pattern of thought, and then more thoughts join it, right? We've got that 17 seconds, that 15 to 17 seconds, then another thought like it is going to join. And then before you know it, at 68 seconds, you have physical evidence of it. So you're spilling stuff, you're dropping things, you're, I don't know, hitting curbs with your car. I don't know. Like you're late, you're running late. All these things start piling on top of you because you've tuned into that anxiety frequency. Same thing happens when you're late. If you start doing the whole I'm late, I'm late, I'm late, you'll hit every red light. You will spill your coffee on your shirt. You will, all these different things will happen. You'll get stuck in traffic. So my saying when it comes to lateness is I'm always on time. So even if the clock shows that I showed up 5 minutes later than my appointment, normally that person will be like, oh, it's the perfect time. I just finished with the other person. So that's a really good tip. All right, so anxiety is always pointing us in the direction of what we do not want. It is very much in direct connection with the problem and not the solution. And it doesn't allow for those solutions to come to you as easily. The solutions are still going to come. I always say anxiety blocks the flow of wisdom from your divine connection. Anytime I would do speaking engagements and I would be anxious, it would block the flow to what I wanted to say because I don't follow cards usually. I mean, I have notes for this just to try to keep me in check. But when it comes to speaking, I might just have notes in front of me just to stay on track. But when your wisdom channel shuts down and you're in the middle in front of people, it's a little awkward. It hasn't happened to me in a while, but it has happened. All right, so this is what we can do. Let's see what we can do about it to overcome it, to get in solution energy. Meditation is going to be your number one biggest thing in your arsenal, seriously. And if it's hard to meditate because you're in so much pain, you're in so much stress, I would highly recommend that you napitate. Seriously, put some guided meditations in, put your headphones in, and lay down, because laying down kind of shuts the mind down even further. I love meditation sitting up because you're not going to fall asleep normally when you're sitting up, and it's a different type of meditation. But if you're in a lot of stress and a lot of anxiety, your body could probably benefit from resting. So I would lay down. That's what I do when I'm feeling, super overwhelmed. It's like, I'm just going to lay down. I'm taking a time out. And I think it kind of tells your body it's okay to be calm. Like this is, we're getting ready to go to sleep. So you can calm yourself a little more if the sitting up meditation is not working for you. Um, Here's a really great thing that we do in our house a lot is that we always say, I can't wait to see what's going to manifest from this. So when something happens that's less than optimal, we'll look at it. We might have a moment. Like I said, we are not perfect. People are not perfect in this world. We may have a moment where it's like, holy crap, I can't believe this happened. Or, oh, why did this have to happen? But eventually we settle back to the mantra, I can't wait to see what manifests from this. because ultimately everything works out for us. And when you can get in that energy field, when you can work from trust and faith, when you can give it space and not freak out and not throw things at it and not jump on it and try to fix it and try to change it, that's all desperate energy. All you have to do is just take a few deep breaths, get in a little meditation, journal out what you want, really journal out what you want. And then if you're able to really visualize and feel it working out for you, even better, because that's going to torque the energy even more in your favor. So anytime you can do that, and then anytime you can give it a little bit of space, go out, have some fun, go in nature, do something that completely distracts you from the challenge will actually leave some room for the universe to co-create with you. Because if you're too close to the problem, if you're trying too hard to fix it, if it's hard, if you're pushing energy, the universe can't get in there. So invite it in. Source, God, angels, whatever you want to call it, invite it in to assist you in any challenge you are experiencing. It happens for me with so many things: parking spaces, lost items. I very rarely lose items. I misplaced them for a little while, but my angels always bring them back to me. And this is I have stories of losing my diamond out of my wedding ring and finding it underneath like a dining room piece of furniture. So the potential, my grandmother's wedding ring that I had planned on putting in a necklace for my daughters for their wedding as they're something old. I had it in a purse because I was going to bring it to the jeweler. And I ended up buying a purse at my friend's store and throwing that purse out with my grandmother's necklace in it, or her ring. So holy cow, holy miracle story. I end up calling my friend. She's like, oh my goodness, this woman worked last night. Let me get a hold of her. Let me see what happened. The woman, instead of throwing the garbage in the dumpster, brought it home. And she had my purse because I just said, I cannot live in a universe where that got thrown away. My dear sweet grandmother's wedding ring can't get thrown away. So my daughter wore it for her wedding. So that's the thing. When you have the faith, when you release the anxiety, when you trust, when you really believe that everything's going to work out, because it always does. And especially when it looks like it's not going to. This is what I feel like happens. The energy gets super, super, super dense, and then it really looks like it's not going to work out. And I think about this all the time. I'm like, oh, it looks like it's not going to work out. So it's going to. Like, it's just about to. So the energy gets really dense. Your desire gets really strong and actually pushes the energy to like explode into what you want. Like literally just creates so much density in the energy field towards your desire that it just pops. So it's amazing. I've seen it happen in people's lives so many times. And sometimes it happens that they just end up quitting their job, or they end up getting fired from their job, or, it's things that we look at and we go, well, that's not optimal, but it ends up being like the best thing that ever happened to them. So it happens. It does. All right. So we got to get a handle on our mind to rise up against the challenges that we're dealing with. When we're given a challenge, we have a choice. We can freak out, which oftentimes is our first reaction because things are not going the way that we had planned. Or we can take a step back and just go, okay, what do I really want to happen? This is not optimal. This is not what I wanted. When it comes to things like jobs and stuff, like when it comes to experiences that are taking up a lot of time in our life and they're creating a lot of stress, and maybe it's a job that you thought was going to be something great and it turned into something not so great. This is the funny thing with careers, with jobs, with positions. People oftentimes get really locked, especially if you've been in a position for a long time and it pays you well. It's paying all my bills. When you get in that position and you limit your potential for other things, you really block the energy field. So if you're really and truly unhappy in your position, in what you're doing from day to day, decide that it's going to change. Decide that you're going to create something different, and then start looking. Like, start entertaining different ideas to create income. Because this is the thing about income, your income will match how you feel. So you're not going to go into abundance when you're feeling miserable. Your income is going to match the way you feel. And even if it's just like paying your bills and maybe you've got some extra and you're like, well, I'm living fine. The truth of the matter is, are you really rich if you're not living a life that really helps you to feel your most joyful self? Are you really living well if you wake up every day and you're in stress and anxiety and it's taking years off your life? You're not. So what you've got to do is start to open up the channel, decide what you want, decide how you want to feel. Now, if you're in a position and you feel like you have to stay there, then you've got to clean that up. You've got to wrap another story around it. You've got to wrap different energy on it. You've got to become a different person walking in that door if it's a position that you can't let go of right now, because you owe it to yourself and you owe it to that position to do your very best, to really bring your best foot forward. And no one no one is in control of the way we feel or the stories we tell. No one. So we can walk in a door where there's a bunch of negative people, and this is a great statement. If you are in alignment with your truth, with your joy, with your love and your happiness, you are more powerful than a million people who are not. So those negative Nellies, those miserable people, those people that you think are causing you stress, you have the ability to shift that whole experience by just shining your light, by becoming more you, by not letting their vibration tune your vibration, by not letting them change your station as soon as you walk in the door. You got to arm yourself. You got to get your foundation straight with meditation. You got to tell yourself some stories. You have to one other great thing to do is to write a positive aspects thing. We often fall out of gratitude with things when a couple things happen that we're not happy with. This happened to me. I was working with a company recently and I started to feel that way. And I started to feel and it was part of like something I needed to heal within myself, that I didn't feel worthy and I didn't feel like they were giving me the respect that I wanted. And that was a healing journey for me. That was something I really needed to journal out and get in touch with. So if you're feeling that way, people reflect how we feel inside. So it's an opportunity, right? It's an opportunity. It's a challenge that is offering you an opportunity to rise above and become more, to show yourself that you are more powerful than anybody in the room, that anybody else that's in charge, and that you can become more in this situation. And you can make the very best of any situation. You can shine your light in any situation. So you just have to decide. You have to realize you're a powerful creator. Write down what you're grateful for. I'm incredibly grateful for this paycheck, for this, this money coming in all the time. I'm incredibly grateful that I have, my legs to walk into work, that I've got eyes and I've got the ability to uplift people, that I have the ability to be in a situation that maybe isn't optimal, but I can find the optimism in it. Sounds like a Pollyanna world, but the truth is, the attitude and the energy and the stories that we wrap around stuff becomes more. So we can either wrap anxiety around it, wrap dread around it, or we can take a step back and we can take our power back. That's what taking your power back is all about. All right. So what anxiety is you get on a certain thought pattern, right? You get on a certain thought pattern. It's like getting on the roller coaster ride. Once you're in anxiety, because anxiety, remember, is like a bundle of thought forms of anxiousness. It doesn't start out with anxiety. It starts out with a thought, one single thought about something that's not optimal. And then in 15 to 17 seconds, another thought joins it. And then it starts to really ramp up. And then you've got physical evidence of people making you anxious or situations making you anxious. So the truth is, it's because you tuned into one little thought. So meditation will give you that space to become aware, to decide, do I want to drive into this bad neighborhood in my mind? Do I want to hang on to that? Do I want to grab onto that thought? Do I want to believe this thought? There's so many thoughts that we have inside of our head and we believe them, and they're really not good for us. They're not good for us to believe, especially the self-critical ones about ourselves and about our worthiness and who we are as people in this world, navigating all of these different relationships and situations. So you can take your power back as soon as today when you decide tomorrow's going to be different. Now, you may have a lot of momentum going in that situation, whatever that situation is, whatever that challenge is, you may have a lot of momentum going in that direction. And so it may take a second for that. Remember, the energetic world takes a little while to catch up to the physical world because it's got to break down and become matter. So you've got to put some feeling forward. You got to put some energy forward. You got to pre-pave the energy. You got to put some, real strong notes out there, real strong decisions out there about what I'm bringing to the table today. And I'm not dragging what was yesterday. Today is a brand new day. It's a fresh day. And I get to decide how I respond to everything in this day. And when my foundation is peaceful, it's calm, I know who I am. When I go in there in my confidence and in my power, everything just kind of settles and everything becomes more peaceful. So do things in that work environment or in that challenged environment, I don't know, bring crystals with you, bring something that signifies peace, bring a stress ball. I don't know, just do something that relieves the stress when you're in the moment, but prepave the energy first to decide that you're going to create something different. Beautiful things, beautiful things surrounding us make a difference. They do. Or pictures of people we love, things that remind us to be grateful. Things that remind us to be grateful are going to tune us into gratitude. And the gratitude is that jet fuel to joy. The gratitude is the jet fuel towards all of it, to being in a different frequency in this situation so that you can create something different. It's always gratitude. And I know that sounds very cliche, but this works like a freaking charm, especially if you can get ahead of the anxiety. If you can get ahead of those moments and really tune into what you're grateful for, what you love, what feels good to you. Put headphones on with classical music. We used to do that for our daughter when she was younger. She would listen to classical music when she did math homework because it just calmed her down. It's supposed to make you smarter too. So do something that actually kind of settles you, and just do these little things that remind you that your life is actually pretty freaking great. Yeah, your life is pretty great. My life is pretty great. Our lives are pretty freaking great. Like if you look at it from a higher perspective, right? And I know you've probably heard this before. It's like if you've got a warm bed, if you've got a roof over your head, if you've got food in your fridge, if you've got gas in your car, if you've got legs, if you've got eyes, if you've got ears, good Lord, people, let's be grateful for what we have, because that's what's going to fuel more of it. They say the better it gets, the better it gets. And I truly am I'm such living proof of that as you tune into abundance and as you tune into your power and your love and your joy for people, the better it gets. Like on Fun Fridays, when we do Fun Fridays and we start the day off, like taking pictures of ourselves jumping and doing ridiculous things, we start the engine of laughing, and then the entire day and everyone around us takes part in it with us. And the day just gets more and more hysterical as we go along. So you have the potential to do that. You have the potential to set the intention for fun just as much as I do. So even if you are working a lot and stuff, there's time for fun. You have to make time for fun. If you don't have time for fun, we need to talk. You got to make time for fun. You got to make time for living life, for really living your joy, for getting out there and experiencing life to the fullest, because you only get one and you don't know when it's done. You don't know. You just don't know. Could you imagine? You're like worrying and fretting. I had a conversation with a friend the other day. I think I shared this before, but somebody she knew died. He was like 50 years old and he dropped dead of a heart attack. And she was like, why do I worry about things? Like, why do I worry about money? It's like, I have no idea what's going to happen. And I'm like, exactly. That's why I don't fret over things like silly things. Like, I just don't, because you just never know, And if you keep tuning into worry and anxiety, you are stressing your body out to the point where you are aging yourself. You're going to create disease. You're going to create things in your body that you do not want, that are going to actually make you go, "Oh, my life was pretty great before. Now I'm dealing with this." So you don't want that. So clean it up. Clean up the energy field. If you can't quit that job, if you can't leave that husband or wife or whatever's causing you the most stress, you can do that yourself. You can clean yourself up so that those people don't have to reflect so much crap to you and create so much stress and anguish in your life. You can do it. Listen to every episode of this podcast and you will do it. I'm not kidding you, because whatever's going on inside is what people are reflecting to us. So there it is. We are not victims in this world. We are completely in control of the way we respond to life. And because of that, we have the greatest power to manifest, because we have the ability to control our responses. But we only do that if we've got a foundation of meditation. I am launching another group in M21, another challenge in M21 Revolution on Facebook. If you are not in it, please ask to join. It is a free group. There are hundreds of guided meditations and videos on manifesting and yogic philosophies. I run this with my partner, Jess. We do donation-based challenges. This time around, she's not going to take part in it. I can't believe it. It's the first time ever that I'm just going to run this. She said she would, of course, be in there and support it, but she's traveling. She's doing amazing things. She's living her life to the fullest. And I'm so incredibly blessed and proud of her. So it'll just be me. And I have a lot of things to share, and I really I'm feeling guided to do this, and I got some good response. So on April 13th, we will launch the first M21 day, 21 days of being consistent with your meditation practice. And then I pop in there and do videos and things and instruction on manifesting. And each challenge kind of takes its own theme. So we'll see what the theme is this time. I'm not sure. So that's the M21 challenge. Then with this podcast and my YouTube channel, if you could like, share, and subscribe, that would be amazing. And if you could share it with your friends. What I like to do is, when I see people on Facebook or my friends, when they're struggling with something, I will send them an episode. It's like, here's an hour of information about what you're asking about. And I think that's a great way to share it and also to grow it. If I could grow this thing, when, as we grow this thing, let's say that, I always catch myself, as we grow this thing, we grow this philosophy of living a joyful life. And guess what? Our society becomes more joyful. Our society becomes more healthy. And because of that, we get to play and have fun and create with joyful people. So you want the people in your life to know this stuff. You really do, especially if you're looking for a community of people to resonate and expand and grow with. So I am, for sure. All right. I love you all. Have a wonderful week, and I'll be back next week. Peace. Love you.